If home won't get you where you want to go, maybe it's time to say goodbye.
Welcome to New York.
That's all. Provincial thinking. Parochial.
Yin, bawalah Cik Ita tempat shopping.
One day, I'm going to go to Thailand and try the real pad thai to see what's so different from this Malaysian knockoff.
Oh, so there are people all the way in Malaysia with names like mine?
Sampai hati anak awak.
Hello, I'm Adriana Nordin Manan, and what you just heard were lines from my first full-length play. The play is called Fault Lines, and I had the great privilege and challenge, admittedly, of developing it during the pandemic. So, with that in mind, I'd like to invite you to catch a glimpse of how the whole experience was developing a play during the pandemic. And the first thing that I'd like to talk about is really how I look back at the experience of playwriting. I'm not trained in playwriting, so I'm a self-taught playwright. And as a first-time playwright, I think one of the main things that I struggled with really was the whole idea that we're taught as playwrights that your writing must always center conflict. And here, I'm going to be very honest, I struggled with the sheer word of conflict. I felt that it gave me a certain sense of pressure of always thinking about collisions and clashes. And so I struggled. It took me a while really to be able to appreciate that. So what I did was instead I reframed it and I said, Adriana, what we're not writing about is not necessarily conflict, but let's think about struggle. So the word struggle really helped me a lot. So I thought about basically the play is about characters, each with their own struggle that they're going through and they're facing. And the play is really, or you can call it, I guess, the conflict in hindsight. The conflict is when their struggles collide, or their struggles come into opposition, or their struggles just diverge from one another. So that was one thing that I learned as a new playwright. And another thing that I learned really is just how important it is to let other people in to your process and to be able to pace yourself and know when you're working alone and when to invite people in. And what I mean by this is when to have readings, table readings or workshops as I was able to do. And because what happens when you have a reading or when you hear actors really putting life and dynamism to the words that you've put on paper, is that your characters that were maybe just basically maybe fleeting silhouettes, they start to embody their beings, and they take on a bit of a solid form, which then helps you as a playwright, or helped me as a playwright to get a better sense of who they are, that they're not just characters flying about in my brain, fleeting, not really presenting themselves in their physical form. So yeah, those are the two things that I take away from the whole process. So next, I'd like to invite my collaborators and share with you a few conversations that we had on the sides of the workshop that we conducted. And let me tell you a little bit about the workshop. The workshop was held over 10 days online, and we had participation from actors located in LA, London, and KL. And yeah, so come, let's hear what they have to say and their reflections on the play and their characters.
Hi, good morning. My name is Fatimah Abu Bakar, and I am Hafsah in the play.
My name is Sabrina Hassan, and I play Juita.
I'm Joel Gelman. I'm playing David in Fault Lines.
Hi, I'm Putrina Rafie, and I'm playing Shireen.
My name is Reza Zainal Abidin, and I play Ray.
My name is Aqilah, and I play Zul.
My name's Catherine Leyow, and I play Miriam in the play.
What do you think Fault Lines is about?
it's a reunion of sorts. Yeah, it's very much family who is trying to find out where did we go wrong, how can we be better, how can we be stronger, if something was wrong, can I make it better? Yeah, I think it's basically about that. Yeah.
I think the various dynamics that we have with our family members, and I think in this situation, it's coupled with the fact that you've left the country for studying and then you decided to stay for work and everything else. So you've been away from your country, you've been away from your family for like, 5, 8, 10 years even. So and it's about so in this play they're meeting up again in the US, and it's about negotiating so many things, your relationship, what is your life in the US, what has your life been about the US, how much of it do you share everything. I mean, people always say, yeah, we share everything because we're family, but I think there's some things that it's very difficult to share with family. It might be easier to share it with your friends and stuff like that.
Fault Lines is about family. It's about the sacrifices you make of yourself to ensure your family's happiness, and also in the ways in which we try to make ourselves happy in sometimes difficult situations.
Big theme in Fault Lines is family reunions. So how does your character feel about getting together with his family members?
It would be like her dream to have her family all together, reunited, living in one place that she feels would be safer for them, away from like any discrimination and stuff that their families lived through for generations. So so I think she has that desire, but she's still under the illusion that her children should be an extension of her and her husband. That they've all got to fit together like this jigsaw and be of one mind and heart, rather than seeing her children as individuals with their own destiny and their own minds.
I think family reunions are fine as long as no one tries to rock the boat.
If you could give one piece of advice to your character, what would it be?
I think whatever Shireen decides, she needs to just give it time. She needs to just trust the process and give it time, because and also really get used to believing in your trusting your instincts in deciding these things, because you may not be able to unpack it now, but I think as time goes, you will always be able to unpack it. So whatever she decides, it's the right and the wrong decision at the same time.
Slow down. I think he gets ahead of himself a lot. And I do that too, in a lot of ways. But I think he has this like inherent need to just fix things, to like fix, and even fix things like when they aren't broken or aren't yet broken. And I would tell him to like maybe just like sit back and like listen a little bit more, and yeah, just slow down, man. Slow down.
Hi there, I'm back. How was it hearing those conversations with the cast? I hope it piqued your interest in Fault Lines, and and it gave you a few things to think about, especially if you're an actor or, of course, if you're a playwright. Now, when you want to develop a play, an essential component is, of course, a director. So I never thought about directing my own play. First and foremost, because I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of the play. Like I don't think I'd be able to even like treat it and dissect it anymore, because it's just and don't get me wrong, I love my play. I adore it. But yeah, I don't think it was a good idea at all. It never crossed my mind for me to direct it because I think I'm too close to it. And also another thing is that I might be too rigid about it, like too set in my ways, if I can put it that way, where I would know the backstory and maybe, it might make me less able to consider other perspectives of like, oh, what is about motivation of the characters or about the dynamics of an interaction. Yeah, so I knew from the start that no, Adriana will not also be the director of this play during the workshop. But I have the very good fortune of finding a director who I will speak to very soon, and we'll get to learn more from him. And yeah, hi Ghafir.
Hello, my name is Ghafir Akbar, and I am the director working on this play with Adriana, a play called Fault Lines.
What has it been like working on developing a new play during the pandemic? How do you feel that there was anything of particular import that you just want to highlight, of challenges? Yeah, here we're open and honest here, so go for it.
Yeah, I think that it's tough working online, right? I mean, because of the pandemic, we all kind of have to meet online. And the one thing that I miss the most is the physical presence of each other, to be in the room, to really, when an actor works and when we are talking, have a conversation with each other, there's always a bit of a nuance that exists, when you see human bodies in space. And to see an actor work and to see an actor be able to shift small things that sometimes I think gets lost in this screen. But the advantage was, of course, we're able to work with people from all around the world, to work with people who are in the US, in London, and not have to worry about, cost or, I don't know, whatever difficulty that comes with trying to get everybody together in the same room.
My last question is, any advice for playwrights working with directors in developing a new play?
Yeah, I think that a certain level of trust, I think, needs to exist between the playwright and the director, right? Because I can understand the level, you've been working on a play for so long. It's really a child that you've invested so much time and effort in. And it takes a lot to then surrender this child to a group of people who's literally gonna rip it apart and then piece it back together. Yeah, because the idea that you also can't surrender fully. You also need to take ownership of this work. You can't just be like, do whatever you want with it. I think because of the wealth of information that has gone into the play from the perspective of the playwright, it's important to also hear the playwright and get the playwright's input. At least, and that's how I prefer to work.
So, what did you think about that? I hope that you took away the main message that the relationship between a director and playwright is essential in bringing a play together and bringing a play to life. So thank you for your time. I hope you've enjoyed this little gander in understanding the process of developing a play, especially during the pandemic. And I would like to say in closing to the playwrights out there, Malaysian playwrights, so people who are aspiring to be playwrights, I wish you the very best. I'm sending you all the best wishes, the positive vibes. I see you, I understand what you're going through, and yeah, I really look forward to seeing your work and your art when it's ready to step out into the universe. Thank you very much. Bye-bye and take care.